record. Good morning, everyone. This is the Zoom meeting of the Fellowship of Spirit in Farmington, New Mexico. And this is the first meeting of the brand new year 2021. I want to welcome everyone who is with us today. We have a special program for you today. We have Corein Turbak, who is Debbie Brown's daughter. And we are really anxious to hear what she has to tell us this morning. We have a brand new year that's like a blank page that we haven't even scribbled on yet. So it's really good. We can have, no matter what happened in the past year, the new year holds hope and you know, is that things are going to be better no matter what happened, whether last year was good for you or not, but this one could be better. So we're hoping for that. Jerry, do we have any announcements that we need to make at the beginning?
No, if somebody is unable to get into town to pick up a calendar, we can mail it to you. I would have to buy special envelopes to do it, and the postage would be, but we want you to have them. So if you didn't get a calendar and you can't get by the church to get one, if you'll let me know, I will mail you one. Other than that, if you didn't get one, please go by. They are in a box on the left-hand side of the front porch in kind of a tucked in area there, not on the porch itself, but down below in the corner where the porch and the building connect. And so there still are some calendars there, and I would love for you to go by and get them.
Yeah. Jerry, will you save a couple for me? I don't know when I'll be getting over there, but I have our two computers here. At some point, we're going to have to change them out. So there's no need to mail it to me. I'll just get it whenever we get connected.
Okay. Well, I have several set aside in case people don't get them. Okay. That they need to mail them or hold on to them for you for a while. But so far, you know, they've been disappearing, but there is still quite a few left. So if you need one, or do you know somebody that needs one, or you want to give somebody one, please do so. We always have extra, so we have plenty to spare.
Okay. Thank you, Jerry. All right. Well, let's just jump right into it. Margaret, if you would, I'm going to mute everyone. And then Margaret, if you will unmute and go ahead and pray. There we go.
Thank you, God, for this time that we can get together and see each other and hear each other, even though we're not in physical presence. It really, really helps. Thank you for your presence with us today, and help us to open our hearts and minds to everything that is important for us to take in and understand, that we may continue to grow and in greater understanding as we enter this new year. In the spirit of Christ consciousness, amen.
Thank you, Margaret. That was a very nice prayer. Fred, sing us a song.
There it is. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
All right. Is everybody muted? Well, this is, I don't play this song that often because it used to cause me a lot of problems for some reason or another, and I'm not sure why, but it might even cause me a problem today, but we'll just play it anyway. It goes with the new year. Cat Stevens kind of made it a little famous, I guess. So, morning has broken. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Yeah. Breathe a new dew fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the singing of the wet garden, springing from cleanness where his feet pass. 'Cause mine is the dew light, and mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden saw playing. Well, praise with elation, praise every morning, God's creation of the new day. 'Cause mine is the morning, mine is the dew fall. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Got through it.
Thank you, Fred. Beautiful,
You're welcome.
beautiful. We really appreciate it. We really do. Mike, I know we didn't talk about this before. I just looked at my list and it says that you're our spiritual reader today. Do you have something?
Of course.
All right.
No pun intended. Yeah, I'm going to share lesson 122 from A Course in Miracles. And it's called Forgiveness Offers Everything I Want. What could you want forgiveness cannot give? Do you want peace? Forgiveness offers it. Do you want happiness, a quiet mind, a certainty of purpose, and a sense of worth and beauty that transcends the world? Do you want care and safety and the warmth of sure protection always? Do you want a quietness that cannot be disturbed, a gentleness that never can be hurt, a deep, abiding comfort, and a rest so perfect it can never be upset? All this forgiveness offers you, and more. It sparkles on your eyes as you awake and gives you joy with which to meet the day. It soothes your forehead while you sleep and rests upon your eyelids so you see no dreams of fear and evil, malice and attack. And when you wake again, it offers you another day of happiness and peace. All this forgiveness offers you, and more. Forgiveness lets the veil be lifted up that hides the face of Christ from those who look with unforgiving eyes upon the world. It lets you recognize the Son of God and clears your memory of all dead thoughts so that remembrance of your Father can arise across the threshold of your mind. What would you want forgiveness cannot give? What gifts but these are worthy to be sought? What fancied value, trivial effect, or transient promise, never to be kept, can hold more hope than what forgiveness brings? Why would you seek an answer other than the answer that will answer everything? Here is the perfect answer, given to imperfect questions, meaningless requests, half-hearted willingness to hear, and less than halfway diligence and partial trust. Here is the answer. Seek for it no more. You will not find another one instead. God's plan for your salvation cannot change, nor can it fail. Be thankful it remains exactly as He planned it. Changelessly, it stands before you like an open door, with warmth and welcome calling from beyond the doorway, bidding you to enter in and make yourself at home where you belong. Here is the answer. Would you stand outside while all of heaven waits for you within? Forgive and be forgiven. As you give, you will receive. There is no plan but this for the salvation of the Son of God. Let us today rejoice that this is so, for here we have an answer, clear and plain, beyond deceit in its simplicity. All the complexities the world has spun of fragile cobwebs disappear before the power and the majesty of this extremely simple statement of the truth. Here is the answer. Do not turn away in aimless wandering again. Accept salvation now. It is the gift of God and not the world. The world can give no gifts of any value to a mind that has received what God has given as its own. God wills salvation be received today, and that the intricacies of your dreams no longer hide their nothingness from you. Open your eyes today and look upon a happy world of safety and of peace. Forgiveness is the means by which it comes to take the place of hell. In quietness, it rises up to greet your open eyes and fill your heart with deep tranquility as ancient truths, forever newly born, arise in your awareness. What you will remember then can never be described, yet your forgiveness offers it to you. Remembering the gifts forgiveness gives, we undertake our practicing today with hope and faith that this will be the day salvation will be ours. Earnestly and gladly will we seek for it today, aware we hold the key within our hands, accepting heaven's answer to the hell we made, but where we would remain no more. Morning and evening do we gladly give a quarter of an hour to the search in which the end of hell is guaranteed. Begin in hopefulness, for we have reached the turning point at which the road becomes far easier. And now the way is short, that yet we travel. We are close indeed to the appointed ending of the dream. Sink into happiness as you begin these practice periods, for they hold out the sure rewards of questions answered of what your acceptance of the answer brings. Today, it will be given you to feel the peace forgiveness offers, and the joy the lifting of the veil holds out to you. Before the light you will receive today, the world will fade away until it disappears, and you will see another world arise you have no words to picture. Now we walk directly into light, and we receive the gifts that have been held in store for us since time began, kept waiting for today. Forgiveness offers everything you want. Today, all things you want are given you. Let not your gifts recede throughout the day as you return again to meet a world of shifting change and bleak appearances. Retain your gifts in clear awareness as you see the changeless in the heart of change, the light of truth behind appearances. Be tempted not to let your gifts slip by and drift into forgetfulness, but hold them firmly in your mind by your attempts to think of them at least a minute as each quarter of an hour passes by. Remind yourself how precious are these gifts with this reminder, which has power to hold your gifts to your awareness through the day. Forgiveness offers everything I want. Today, I have accepted this as true. Today, I have received the gifts of God.
Thank you, Mike.
So it is.
Could you tell us, for those that are not course students, what the definition for salvation according to course is?
Well, it's basically excuse me, I'm losing my computer here. Well, one of the definitions, I have a little golden, definitional book of terms and stuff. And the one I've always liked, is salvation is an illusion to escape from illusions, because nothing has ever happened to be saved from. So salvation is necessary. And basically, it's just the realization that salvation is the realization there's nothing to be saved from. That is salvation.
Yeah.
And because otherwise we live in that fear or whatever.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. This morning we have Debbie Brown's daughter, which in itself is pretty neat. Our beloved Debbie, we love her. And so we're going to come to love her daughter also. And her name is Corein Turbak. And she is an ordained priest of the Old Catholic Church of the United States. She served as an associate pastor for the last 5 years at Spirit of Hope Catholic Community in St. Paul, Minnesota, where she still occasionally preaches. She is currently the chaplain for the maternal child health spectrum at mHealth, which is University of Minnesota's Medical Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota, primarily supporting families in the NICU, which I'm not sure what that is, but she received her Master's of Divinity from St. John's University in 2010, 11 years ago now. In her spare time, she can usually be found chasing her 2-year-old daughter or watching movies with her husband. She is originally from Farmington and cannot wait to return for a long visit once the pandemic is over. So if we could welcome Corein Turbak to us today. Go ahead, Corein.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it's such a privilege to be here and get this to finally work. My mom has been telling me and asking me for a little bit now, so I'm glad that I can be here and join you. And it's so funny to be sitting here in Minnesota, and my mom is sitting in my old bedroom, which is better decorated now, but it's a little surreal to to see that. So as Ron said, I am ordained within the Old Catholic Church, which is a small branch of Catholicism that kind of split off in the Netherlands. But around the same time that Episcopalian and Lutheran tradition started ordaining women, this tradition started ordaining women as well. And so it became a good place for me to be able to seek leadership and ordination. And I'm still a part of that community, but my 2-year-old takes up more of my time these days. And so I'm not able to be a part of the church as much as I'd like to. But as Ron said, I also work as a chaplain. I work primarily, it's the neonatal intensive care unit. So supporting parents who have little babies in the NICU, and just journeying with them through what that is in their lives and helping them find wholeness and strength through that. And today I thought, in the, for the most Christian traditions, for Roman Catholic and most of like Western liturgical traditions, today is Epiphany, which marks the end of the Christmas season. For Eastern churches, that'll be in a few weeks. But what I thought we could do today is talk a little bit about Epiphany and where God shows up in that. I did want to note too, just I will use God mostly in while I'm speaking, but I recognize and acknowledge that that is a God of many names and shows up in many ways. And so if God is not the word that you use most often when you talk about the holy, please feel free to kind of shift that in your mind. I was going to say one other thing. Oh, as I look through these readings today, I was trained in preaching by an awesome couple, Fred and Patricia, forgetting their last name, but they taught at St. John's University. And they always taught us to, as you read scripture, acknowledging the good news that scripture is and looking for both the grace and the challenge. So I hope today, as I weave through a few different readings, to acknowledge where God's grace is and where God's challenge is as well. And I loved the reading that was just read as well. It fits so well, I think, because as we unpack what Epiphany means, it's basically the mystery of the universe being revealed in the simplicity, in the simple things. And what I heard in that reading was living a life of forgiveness, of practicing that, of recognizing heaven within yourself. And I think that is so much of what Epiphany is. And so I hope that I can be a part of opening that up for us as well today and looking for God in the simplicity of our daily lives. So over the last few weeks, as we've celebrated Christmas, all the readings within most Christian traditions focus on the manger scene. That's what mostly the gospel is about. And then most of the Hebrew scripture is from the prophet Isaiah. And the prophet Isaiah was writing to the exiled Israel community. They were losing strength, losing hope, and losing faith. And the prophet Isaiah was coming to them to speak to them that there was light, that they were God's beloved, and that it was worth continuing on in life. And I imagine probably each and every one of us can identify a time in our lives where we felt like we were losing our strength, our hope, or our faith. And I think especially this past year, as we've persevered through this pandemic, and even now, I think especially as we know there's a vaccine, as we know that it feels like there's an end in sight, but still we don't see that end yet, and many of us are still separated from our loved ones. It's a time maybe where we feel some hopelessness and some loss of faith. And so Isaiah spoke these words to the Israelites, and I think he speaks them to us too. Raise your eyes and look about. They all gather and come to you. Your sons come from afar, and your daughters in the arms of their nurses. Then you shall be radiant at what you see. Your heart shall throb and overflow. For the riches of the sea shall be emptied out before you. The wealth of the nations shall be brought to you. Caravans of camels shall fill you. Dromedaries from Midian and Ephah, all from Sheba shall come, bearing gold and frankincense, and proclaiming the praises of the Lord. For anyone familiar with the manger scene on Christmas morning, we can see how those words from Isaiah have carried over into that story. the shepherds journeying to the manger, the wise men from foreign countries bearing gold and frankincense, and this sense that on Christmas morning, the whole world kind of stopped. A big breath was taken in as the world acknowledged that something truly miraculous had happened. And this morning, that story continues with Epiphany Sunday, the last story where this manger scene is opened up. And I love the idea of epiphanies because I think that's how spirituality often works in our lives. I looked up in the dictionary the different definitions of epiphany, and these were the three main ones. Number one, a sudden manifestation or perception of the essential nature or meaning of something. Two, an intuitive grasp of reality through something usually simple and striking. And then lastly, number three, an illuminating discovery, realization, or disclosure. And that second definition really struck me. An intuitive grasp of reality through something usually simple and striking. I think that really fits with the definition of salvation that you all were just talking about too, of this realization that salvation is when we realize we don't need salvation. We're already free within us. This really simple reality of freedom that already exists in us. And I think so often God, life, beauty speaks to us in the really simple ways. If we can pay attention to the simplicity in our lives, that's where God comes. For me, during my daily life, I'm very skilled at shutting God off because I get preoccupied with myself. I am focused on my needs, my desires, my worries, my shortcomings, my shame. And there's not much room in my busy, anxious mind for God or for the holy. But every once in a while, just like that Epiphany Sunday, God breaks in a very simple manner. A group of my friends and I have a tradition of going on a hike every New Year's Day. We usually spend New Year's Eve night together, and then we go on a hike in the morning. And this year we weren't, of course, able to stay together, but we were able to come together and go for the hike. We've kept this tradition even on cold Minnesota days where the temperature gets well below -20. And it's a beautiful and one of my favorite ways to start the year. So this New Year's Day, we came together. We hadn't seen each other since last New Year's because of the pandemic. And at the end of our hike, with sore legs and cold faces, we looked down on the Mississippi from high above. Bald eagles were soaring above us, and each of us had a mug of hot homemade apple cider in our mugs. And in that moment for me, God broke through. I wasn't thinking about myself, my needs, or my worries. I really wasn't thinking about anything at all, but I was aware. I was aware of the beauty that surrounded us. I was aware of the joy filling up in my chest and bubbling out as laughter for the good people around me. And I was aware of how absolutely delicious and nourishing pressed apples could taste. God, the holy, life itself surrounded us and filled us and moved us in that moment. And I believe that the Christmas season and Epiphany is calling us to look for every day where this happens and to celebrate it. This morning, I'd like to have us consider some of the different characters in the manger scene and how they lived through God's revelation. Particularly King Herod, the wise men, and Mary. As I mentioned, when I read Gospels, I try to look for the challenge and the grace. And King Herod is certainly the challenge. At that time, King Herod and the other rulers of the day were told that the readings of the prophet Isaiah had been fulfilled. The Messiah was here. The light of God had come to lowly Bethlehem. And so King Herod met with the wise men. He told them to go and find this Messiah, and then to return to him and tell him where he was so that he could also pay homage to him. Herod, though, had lied to them, and the plan was that he would find where this Messiah was and take his life. And so the wise men were warned of this in a dream, and they did not return to Herod and went the other way. Herod, as the story goes, would eventually have all children under the age of 2 killed in hopes of ending the possibility of the Messiah coming into the world. I don't like to place myself in Herod's shoes, but I think it's necessary for us all to recognize that we've been there. Because Herod can be an example of when we live only from our strong sense of self-preservation and our egos. When all we hear within our minds is my, mine, and me. My power, my needs, my wants, my desires, my fear, my shame. In those moments when all that exists is me, and the difficult emotions that can arise from our egos and self-preservation, we can become blinded to the epiphanies around us, to the holy breaking into the world. We can even feel threatened by it. Over the last 6 months, I've become a huge fan of the meditation app called 10% Happier. I do these meditations every day, and it's the first time in my life that I've ever stuck with a practice like that. And one of the first meditations I ever listened to focused on how we embody our emotions. They give us a simple example. Say you're in traffic and someone cuts you off. At first, you feel the emotion of anger, but then your body actually takes the emotion on. You grip your steering wheel. You grit your teeth. You may yell some expletives. You might honk your horn. And as you physically become anger, you also begin to tell a story about your anger. For me, it would go something like this. That guy is such a jerk. He has no consideration for others. He's clueless. He could have caused a car accident. Why am I always surrounded by such terrible drivers? If we don't pay attention, we can embody our emotions. We can become anger. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with having the emotion of anger, but it's important about how we work with that emotion. And the amazing thing is that I've discovered the more I spend time meditating, then when I experience anger, I can pay attention to it, and I can choose not to embody it, or at the very least, not embody it to the same degree of intensity. I might still grip my steering wheel, but then I can interrupt my anger story. I can take a deep breath and let myself become a little softer. And it's there, again, that God can break through in the middle of traffic when you're getting cut off by someone else. That's where epiphany can happen. Because I might, in that moment, remember that just a couple days ago, I was lost and I shifted into the lane I didn't see in front of me. And then I might begin to feel and embody forgiveness instead. This is what it means to live the epiphany. And there will also be beautiful moments of grace when, without even trying, we will embody the wisdom of the wise men. When we have the awareness, the presence of mind, and the fortitude to seek out new life, to go and behold it, to lay our gifts and our very selves before it. And in those moments when we recognize life, when we behold it in our world, we will become like the words of the prophet Isaiah. The light of God's life will shine upon us. Others will walk by our light. Our hearts will throb and overflow with the presence of life. In mangers, in quiet bedrooms, over Zoom meetings, and on busy streets, in moments of excitement and in moments of disappointment, life is always present. It beats in us, it breathes in the person next to us, it soars in blue winter skies, and it survives in plants that lay dormant in the winter snow. Life is always here for us to behold, to journey to lay before, and to become. It is our call to realize that our days are filled with epiphanies, the holy revealing itself in all the ordinary happenings of our days. At the close of the manger scene and the close of the Christmas season, Scripture says that Jesus' mother Mary treasured all of these things in her heart. I think that one line might be the wisdom we need to forge ahead into this new year, to persevere in the midst of the ongoing pandemic and any personal challenges we are facing, and to make peace with our own moments when we are King Herod, and to have the wisdom to stop and celebrate life being born in our midst. In the manger scene, Mary is presented as a contemplative, as she treasures all things in her heart. Often when we think of someone who is contemplative, we think of monks or nuns, holy people living in far away places, separated from the world. But Mary was never separate from the world. Her experience of God was everything worldly. From the very beginning, God came to Mary in the ordinary, through pregnancy, through the pains of childbirth, through the joys and fears of raising a child, through loving one another. In this new year, we are called to be like Mary, to be people who contemplate. Contemplatives are not separate from the world. Rather, they hold life in their hearts. They believe and see and point to God in all things. They know that God pulses through their veins and through this world. Like Mary, we can treasure the Epiphany in our lives, the moments when the holy, when God breaks through. And in doing so, we become contemplatives like Mary. We too birth God into the ordinary of this world and watch love transform. Like Mary, we can embody the light and life of God just as simply as we can embody the emotion of anger at a traffic stop. It is possible. And so as we reflect on this past year and look forward to what this new year will bring, I wonder where the epiphanies have shown up in our lives and where will they show up in this coming year. As I've thought back about this year and the challenges that we have faced, I have found God most particularly in the cherished relationships that I have. In the spring, me and my 2-year-old daughter, Lucy, would stand on one side of a sliding glass door and her aunt would stand on the other. We would place our hands on the glass and feel the love between one another and hope that someday we would hug and dance and play again. Lucy and I also befriended our older neighbor who lives down the street. That neighbor and Lucy began writing chalk notes to one another on the sidewalk and leaving little gifts for each other. Most recently, after Lucy's grandma here in Minnesota recovered from COVID, we finally got to return to her apartment. Lucy could barely contain herself with joy, and I cannot express how good and comforting it felt to be back in our home. All of these moments were moments of epiphany, and I treasure them all in my heart. They are what sustains me and what will keep me going in this year. And I wonder for each and every one of us here this morning, what are the moments that will sustain you? Where is God showing up? Just as God showed up in the manger that Christmas morning. As I come to a close here, before we end, I want to invite us to just pause for a moment and practice treasuring God's presence in our hearts. Take a moment to think of where God has shown up for you recently in your life. It could be something as miraculous as holding your newborn grandchild, or as simple as enjoying a delicious orange on a sunny day. Think of one moment where you have experienced love and delight in your life. I'll pause as you bring that to mind. Now, with that image in your mind, I invite you to take in all the details. What are you seeing in that moment? What are you touching? Who is with you? What are you hearing, smelling, tasting? Take that moment in all again. What are the emotions there? Surprise, joy, relief, love, hope. Treasure them in your heart. Let that moment of God breaking into the world make a home in your heart. Embody it. Become it. On this morning and at the start of this new year, may we be reminded that God shows up in the simplest ways. We do not need grand theological concepts or lofty prayers to connect with God. Love incarnate is in the eyes of a newborn, the delicious taste of an orange, in writing a note on the sidewalk for the toddler who lives down the street. This is God. This is faith. This is the mystery that you cannot teach, but that you can live. This is the Epiphany, and this we can embody. Amen. Thank Thank you.
What a beautiful young woman you are with such a beautiful message. We thank you. It was really wonderful. Really was.
Thank you.
We're all clapping, although we're all muted, so you can't hear us. So, but
I
but
can
the-
see it.
you can see it, and you can see the love that is reciprocated back to you as just you have shared with us this morning. We thank you so much, and we hope that you will come back with other messages throughout the year. You are welcome anytime.
Thank you so much.
All right. I have a friend. One of my better friends is a Mormon, and she's been a Mormon for a long time. She's almost a mother figure to me, but we've become friends. And she asked me one time, we've shared different things, and she said, "Well, if you don't believe that someone came to save you, why do you celebrate Christmas, or do you celebrate Christmas?" I said, "No, that's not true." I said that that why would someone not want to celebrate the energy, the birth of a person who embodied the Christ energy, and someone who has come to enlighten us and enlighten the world? And it's not about dying on a cross, but about returning to in the cycles of life that keep going on and on, that the birth of a person that embodies light and the birth of light. And that's what I celebrate when I celebrate Christmas. I think that that's a worthy thing, and is embodied in a person that lived and still lives today. Doesn't diminish from that person's value to us. Oh, she says, well, that's really good. Well, realizing that every year in our cycles, we have a time when the light and the energy goes to nothing. It's the lowest that it's going to be in the year, and we call that the solstice. And it's amazing to me that a few days later is as we turn back to beginning to get light, that the birth of light actually happens, and we celebrate that. And then a couple of weeks later, we have this Epiphany Sunday that's an official time whenever that demonstrate, whoa, wait a minute, light is happening, and I have to accept it and realize that it's not going to be hopeless, and that things are going to come back, that the energy is going to come back, the world is coming back to a time of light, and that we're not just going to continue on into this darkness. And so that's the way that I look at it, in a simple way. And Mike's, I know that Mike is going to be a big fan of yours, because he often gets his epiphanies at stoplights also. he has shared that with us many times. So this Epiphany Sunday is an awareness that, whoa, wait a minute, the light is coming, the light is here, the light, we just need to look and see that the light is here, and that the love continues, and that the biggest thing that forgiveness gives us, it's a tool to disperse the darkness so that the light happens, because the light is there. It is just those things within us that we have not forgiven, that fellow, that jerk in the traffic, that we have not forgiven, that blocks that love from us, and that light and that awareness of God being there. So anyway, I thank you for your message, and we love you, and we hope that you will come back. Now, I want to open it up. Does anyone have anything to share with Corein?
Thanks, Corinne. That was great. I love your definition of epiphany and how you wove that into what Mike read earlier. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, this is Joyce, and I'd like for you to tell me the name of the what you do for your meditation. Is it on your phone? You do a meditation every day?
I can't hear you, Joyce, very well. I don't know if it's on my computer or what.
It's Joyce. Joyce, your
Corinne,
volume must be turned
he's asking you about the meditation that you use in the morning. Is it on your phone? Is it an
Oh, yeah. There's a couple different apps, and the one that I use is called 10% Happier.
Yeah.
There's another one called Headspace that I've heard a lot of people really enjoy too. The 10% Happier gave a free membership for this year to all of us that work in healthcare. So that's how I got to benefit from it, which was great. But now they've got me hooked in, so now I'm paying.
How would you find your 10% Happier app? Would you go to Google Play Store, or how would you look for it?
However you get apps on your phone, so like go to the App Store and type in 10% Happier, or I'm sure they have a website you could Google too.
All right.
I also have one called Let's Meditate that I got at the PlayStation for my Android, and it's free, and it has multiples of meditations anywhere from 2 or 3 minutes to 20 minutes that you can download and keep on your phone. So it's free, and it's called Let's Meditate.
Nice. It's always good when there's free ones out there.
Yeah.
Free's good. Mike, did you have something you want to say? No? Okay. I just saw that you had.
I was just going to say thank you. What a great message, and what a pleasure it is to have you joining us. And we appreciate it. What a great way to start off a new year.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Corein. That takes me back to the better part of my Catholic upbringing. So it was really, really heartfelt from you, and I feel it in my heart too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, I would like to add, though, that bringing that word into our consciousness today, Epiphany, is what a great word to contemplate on.
Sure. Yeah.
That we kind of let those holy instant moments kind of be fleety and flighty, and oh, okay, cool. But to realize that was an epiphany, something to be taken in and absorbed and thought about and contemplated. Those are the God moments, when you realize, like you're saying, somebody cuts you off in traffic, and then you realize, geez, that's what I did last week. Kind of thing, when you put yourself in that place and you realize that, oh my gosh, what an epiphany that was. That I'm going to take that into the next experience, and what we term in course terms, the collapse of time. What used to take me weeks to maybe have that dawn on my mind, all of a sudden dawns in a moment. And those are nice. That's a great word to think about today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. What words come to me about Epiphany would be a moment to be relished, to be cherished, and to be enjoyed. Yeah. Anyone else?
Hey, thank you, Corein. And just to have Corein, it was just good to hear another aspect of actually what we talked about is gratitude. And a gratitude is basically the same of looking for the epiphanies that you get to see in spite of the things that go on in your life. And also at the same time, you can also, through those things, encourage others. And like, as I've shared before, encouragement's the oxygen for the soul. So thank you for the fresh breath. We appreciate it so much.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was thinking too. I happened to yesterday when I went to bed, I did a meditation on gratitude, and I loved that. Yeah, just kind of like soaking in all the moments of the day. And the meditation concluded with it, like you then take that gratitude and it changes how you interact and care for other people too. It's
very true.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, then I'm going to take this time to ask Bob, how are you doing, Bob?
I am doing good. I'm getting gooder and gooder every day. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Into treatments and, seeing where they go from here. But, it's all good. Good days and bad days, but being able to look at the bright side of things, if you will, the epiphanies that I get to see on a regular basis. And one of them is realizing the energy and the surrounding love, friendship that I've always felt from the group that I have chosen as my family, as Annie would say. And that's just it's a realization that doesn't come to pass unless it happens. And then, of course, some things are brought to mind on a more realistic basis. It's just all good. I mean, if you look for the good, it's there, and you get what you see. So, or get what you seek, I think is more of a better term for it. What you seek comes out in your life. And thank you all for being the people that you are, and the loving, caring friendship that I've enjoyed. So, and continue to enjoy.
Yeah.
And Neva, I guess you are headed for a little bout too, eh?
Unmute.
Now, whether I really need it or not, I'm doing better. And thanks to Power of 8, I'm sure. And we'll see what happens. February's a long way off.
And you're going in February?
February 16th is when they were talking about it. So.
Okay. Well, we'll keep you in mind, of course. And yes, I agree. Power of 8 sends out loads of energy, and I feel that and appreciate it. And it's just a blessing to be a part of a blessing.
Yes, it is. And thank you, Margaret.
Yeah. I think fellowship is all in with all of our members. We are there for the good times as well as the bad. We embrace them all as we go through this journey of life together, and we try to do it with love and understanding and support for one another. And that's my understanding of what our fellowship's all about.
Well said.
And Bob, we're just happy that you are still with us and you're still in the fight. You haven't transitioned yet, and that you are here and you're able to share everything that you have with us, and we appreciate that. We appreciate you.
Yeah, hopefully the transition is going to be on my terms. That's the goal.
Well, it's going to happen when it happens.
That's right.
We just hope that it's far off in the future, because we love you and we want you to stay with us. Anyway,
well, thanks for that.
Thank you, Bob. Has anyone heard anything about George?
Yeah, I talked to him this week, and he was just saying that he's fighting sores in his throat from the combination radiation and of course the operation that they did. But the continued radiation makes it harder to swallow, so he has to work harder at it. But he's getting better, and the chances are he'll be going home, but still be with the tube, because he hasn't developed the what do you call what it takes to swallow and do it efficiently. So he has to keep working on that. So yeah, just energy his direction, and of course we appreciate and love him from all the things that he shares with us, and the love that he showed us through the years too. So, and I know that he needs that particular upbringing and encouragement, and upholding, if you will, and the encouragement from everybody. And I know he feels that. So it's just, you can't send that out without returning it back to yourself. So you give as you receive. So
And so he can receive phone calls and text messages and emails. So
I'm not sure he's so great at text message. I haven't done real well.
he's not real good at it, but he can read them.
Yeah, well, I think he does. I haven't heard too much back from text, but
Right.
he can call, and even though
And
it's difficult for him to talk, it's also a practice that
Right.
probably strengthens things as he does.
Well, and we have an address for him if you want to send cards or anything to the place that he's staying. So Margaret or I,
okay.
either one, can give you the address if you don't have
Okay.
it.
So, while I got you on the phone, thank you for Jerry, on the phone, on the Zoom. Thank you for the card. And also, I was just curious, how's Shelby doing?
She is doing better. She's due to go in February 12th for the endoscopy where they go down her throat with the camera. But
I haven't done that yet.
No, they keep putting it off because of her age. They're trying to keep from it, but they're pretty well settling on IBS as a condition for her permanently. And so they want to do the endoscopy to make sure that there's nothing they're missing. After they do that, then they'll just kind of settle on IBS as a condition and treat that. So,
IBS.
Mhm.
Irritable
Just kind of a
bowel.
shame for somebody 16 years old to have to watch everything they eat. Teenagers, they eat everything.
Yeah, they think they need to eat everything anyway.
She's learning she can't.
Well, that's a good discipline.
Yeah, it is. It'll set her for a way of life for the rest of her life. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I really don't. But I'm hoping that the endoscopy goes well and that they don't come up with any oddball thing from that. So thank you for asking.
Is there anyone else that anyone knows about that's having health challenges or any kind of challenges that we need to address?
Well, I had let Margaret know that my brother-in-law was having health issues. He's the other Jerry Lard in Farmington, New Mexico, that I get accused of trying to impersonate every once in a while. He and I are the same age, but he's had some serious health issues over the years with his heart and lungs, and now he's battling a kidney infection. They at one point thought that it might be kidney renal failure, but they've decided it's just a kidney infection. But he's in life care and cannot have any company, and so just keep him in your prayers that he can get over this.
That's Life Care in Farmington?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a friend that was just down there, and actually she was our next door neighbor, and she ended up getting a chicken bone in her throat, and then they ended up taking her to Denver to take care of her. Yeah, so she's there now, but her mother is still at Life Care. Yeah.
Back before Jerry's husband passed away, in that family, they would call Jerry, she Jerry, and he Jerry. He Jerry was the one that's in life care now, but it was he Jerry and she Jerry, right, Jerry?
It did, and I hated it.
You
Absolutely hated it.
But that's the way we could tell. We knew which one you were talking about.
Exactly.
Anyway, well, okay, folks, I think it's probably time to have Fred to sing us another song. Thank you, Fred.
Hello. How's everybody doing? That was a really great talk you gave. The way you wove Epiphany and everything was really wonderful. I really appreciated that. As for something wonderful and new, this is not really a new song. This is sung by a little group from the Midwest called Goo Goo Dolls, and it's called The World Begins Again. See if I can play it. And you ask me what I want this year, so I'll try to make this kind and clear. There's a chance that maybe we'll find better days. 'Cause I don't need boxes wrapped in strings or desire lust or empty things. Just a chance that maybe we'll find better days. So take these words and sing out loud, 'cause everyone is forgiven now. And tonight's the night the world begins again. So it's someplace simple where we could live, and something only you can give, and that's faith and trust and peace while we're still alive. For the one poor child who saved this world, there's 10 million more who probably could if we'd all just stop and said a prayer for them. So take these words and sing out loud, 'cause everyone is forgiven now. And tonight's the night the world begins again. Wish everyone was loved today and somehow stop this endless fray. Just a chance that maybe we'll find better days. So won't you take these words and sound them loud, 'cause everyone is forgiven now. 'Cause tonight's the night the world begins again. Again, I said that tonight's the night the world can begin again. Again. Again.
All right, Fred.
Thank you.
We've been accused of maybe orchestrating a theme throughout our thing. I will guarantee you we do not. The one that orchestrates the theme of our services is God himself, because we just come together. But today was a good example of a theme going all the way from the beginning to the end with your song. So we thank you very much.
Thank the Goo Goo Dolls too. Uh-huh.
Corein, I guess that's your daughter.
Yep, this is Lucy.
Hi, Lucy. We are glad to see you. We're all the way down in New Mexico where your grandma lives. Your grandma.
Yeah, she was just asking where Pop is.
He's in the den. Such a pretty necklace you have this morning.
Well, this is a startling realization to see all these people. So for her, I'm sure it's pretty startling. Anyway, that's great. We're glad that she got to be here. Thank you again, Corein, for being with us and bringing us your wonderful message. We really and truly enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm very grateful for it.
Does anyone have any announcements we'd like to share right now? We're going to have a board of directors meeting at some point next week or the week after, Jerry.
Sorry. Next week's fine. Linda Crone is speaking next Sunday. Yes. Okay. Yeah, next Sunday would be okay for a board meeting. Okay.
Sounds good for me. Everybody take notice and act accordingly.
The minutes will be, or not the minutes. Yeah, the minutes. Steve will post the minutes unless he's already done so. And Glenn will be sending out the financials. So you should have everything you need by next Sunday.
Okay. Are we going to have an election also?
Yeah, right. That is wishful thinking on your part, my friend.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the election is going to be, we're going to re-elect everybody as they are. I'm sorry. It's just been such a strange year that I don't see any changes unless somebody wants to volunteer to do something. I really appreciate the job that you have done, Ron, this year. I know that it was a bit of a challenge for you with working and everything, but you have done a fantastic job, and taking on this Zoom thing has just made fellowship even more important in our lives than it was. And I am so thankful for that. And I really hope you don't mind continuing on with it for a while. You know, it's just been a challenge of a year, and you have risen to the occasion. So thank you very much for what you've done.
I'll second that. So moved.
It's not exactly the board meeting, but if you don't mind, we would like to continue on the way we have been for the most of this year. So let's just see what it brings, if you don't mind. Unless you need to step down for any reason, and then we will attempt to deal with it.
Oh, what I hear a train are coming. You know, they're going to get a railroad job on me, and I'm probably.
Yeah, I think so. I'm sorry, but I hope you don't mind. But we do appreciate the job you have done. We really do.
Well, I've been run over by that train enough, so I know that it's
Yeah.
not a permanent thing, but it is, and it's good. So we'll talk about that next Sunday. So think about
Okay.
it. Think about if you would like to contribute to the fellowship by serving on the board. If you would like to do that, then either get in touch with us this week or next, Sunday, and just let us know, because there is room for anyone who would like to serve on that level. Okay.
Well, and we will probably reaffirm the board members that are already on too. So,
Yeah, sure.
okay.
But it's an opportunity to take on new members as well. So,
It is.
okay. Is there anyone else? In that case, I'm going to pray us out of here. Father, Mother God, we thank you for this time to come together, to enjoy each other's presence and our love, renew our connections, to have those connections strengthened. And we thank you for this medium that we're able to use to do that, because to deny our regular method of coming together has been denied to us for safety reasons. And safety is our very first concern, in that we love each other and we don't want to have cause any more problems than we normally come about in our lives. We thank you for this year coming in front of us. That is a time and space that we can come together more. We can erase those things that separate us, and we can forgive those things which deny us your presence and your love and your protection. We ask that you would watch over each and every one of us and every family that is represented here, that you would watch us and keep us safe and help us, enfold us in your love. And thank you. And in Christ's name, I pray. Amen. All right. So that was it. We thank everyone for showing up and being here. Does anyone have anything? And now I'm going to stop recording so that we can just talk as long as you want to. But goodbye to everybody, and we'll see you next week. Have a great week. Bye-bye.